Austin Riley showed last night that when he's hot, he's one of the best hitters in baseball, and that's something the Braves desperately need. Let's talk about it. Yes, welcome on in to Braves Today for Tuesday, July 29th, your source of news, notes, and updates on your Atlanta Braves. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. You can follow the show on X Braves_today. We have a Facebook page and Instagram as well. And you can find all of my written work, bravestoday.com. That's the Braves Today Substack, as this is both a podcast and a newsletter. Tons of stuff to get to today. The Braves get a Game 1 win against Kansas City last night with a ton of walks. Matter of fact, a record-tying amount of walks. The Braves trade for Carlos Carrasco to fill their rotation spot, their open rotation spot, kind of giving us an answer of what the plan is going forward. But first, Austin Riley has a big game last night in this win. And it's honestly a pretty huge deal, right? Atlanta gets only 9 hits and score 10 runs thanks to 14 walks. Again, we're going to get to that in a minute. But the big blows came from Austin Riley. He goes 2 for 6. He scores 1 run. But he picks up 4 RBI because he gets a solo homer in the 7th inning, which pushes the lead to 5-2. And then in the 8th inning, he has a bases loaded double that clears the bases. And this is a really good sign for a couple reasons. The first one is that since Austin Riley came back over the weekend, came back for that series versus the Rangers, he looked, frankly, awful. He looked like he came back too early. Austin Riley, in that 3-game set in Arlington, goes 0 for 11 with 6 strikeouts. He does draw 2 walks, but 6 strikeouts and just generally looks overmatched at the plate, right? He's not catching up to fastballs. He's chasing stuff out of the zone. He just looked bad. And obviously the thought process is, would you rather have a rough Austin Riley or have a Nacho Alvarez who's still not ready to play in the majors? Atlanta obviously went with Riley, and for the most part, it was fine. For the most part, they were able to... I'm not going to say they lived without him over the weekend because they did lose all 3 games, but they said they'd rather go with him. You saw signs of improvement last night. The homer for Riley came on a fastball. Now, I will point out, it was 93 miles an hour on the outer third. He poked it the opposite way to right center, like 102 miles an hour off the bat. So it wasn't amazing quality contact. It was good enough, and it wasn't really good velocity. He only saw 3 pitches last night over 95 miles an hour. He had a ground out on 1. He whiffed on another one, and he fouled off a 3rd one. So we still haven't seen him since he came back. We still haven't seen him be able to successfully handle high velocity. But we did see him catch up to a fastball and get it out for a homer. And then when you look at that RBI double that he hit in the 8th, part of that big inning, that 4-run inning for the Braves in the top of the 8th, Riley did not chase the slider down and away. And then he gets a slider that's a little bit higher up, like it's in the zone, bottom third, and slightly inside. And he gets down, he gets it, he pulls it to left. All 3 runs score. So better hitting from Austin Riley. But the reason this is a big deal is yes, we needed Michael Harris to have that big weekend because Michael Harris has been one of the worst qualified hitters in baseball this year. And Atlanta needs Michael Harris to be better next season if their offense wants to have a chance to actually be an asset versus a liability. I would argue Atlanta's offense this year, for the most part, has been a liability just about all year. But Austin Riley getting going, and not just getting going to his numbers from last season, but getting going to some of his career best numbers, I think is the difference in Atlanta's offense carrying their weight and being a strength. Okay? Austin Riley signed his extension in August 2022. 10 years, $212 million with a club option for an 11th year. The largest overall value contract in club history. You know, that option's only $20 million. It's actually a little bit of a discount there. But he's making $22 million a year starting this year all the way through 2032, his age 35 season. And the 2 seasons before he signed the deal, 21 and 22, he looked like one of the better players in baseball, right? He hit .303 in 2021 with 33 homers, 107 RBI. And the 2 big things that stand out to me there is a slug in the 500s, a 531, and a WRC plus of 136. For those of you who haven't used that a ton on the show, WRC plus, weighted runs created plus. It measures a hitter's total offensive production based on the league baseline and the parks you play in, right? So if you're hitting for a bunch of power in Cincinnati, it maybe doesn't count as much as if you do it in Kauffman Stadium, right? But a 136 WRC plus in 2021. He follows that up. His batting average takes a small step back, 273 average in 2022, but a 528 slug and a 144 WRC plus. 38 homers, 93 RBI. He also steals 2 bases, which is kind of like, okay, cool, thanks for that. We don't have you here for this, but we appreciate it. So 2 consecutive years, and right there's where they gave him the extension in late of 2022, of being 35 to 45% better than the average position player in baseball. And I think that's the level, not that Riley has to be at, but that's the level with which Atlanta starts to transform this offense from holding its own to being a legitimate strength. Because since then, Riley's not been the same. 2023 still a good year. He bats .281, 128 WRC plus, 516 slug, 37 homers, 97 RBI. Another 30-plus homer year, right, where he has close to 100 RBI. Batting average is good, right? Slugs over 500. He's still you'd take a 128 WRC plus. You absolutely, that's still in the realm of what we need. That's a 136, a 144, and a 128. But 2024, he only plays 110 games. That's after 3 seasons of 159 or more. He only plays 110 games because of the multiple injuries. 256 average and a 461 slug. 19 homers, 56 RBI. Again, he missed time. It's hard to talk about all of that part of it. But even the power stats, not off of volume, but off of different, like his ISO slugging goes from 255 and 234 down to 205. So another situation where his power production, even when he's on the field, backs off. His WRC plus is 116, which is still above average. It's still 16% better than the average MLB hitter, but it's not the level that you had before from Austin Riley. And this is also a situation where his walk rate drops down to high 7%, which is the same he had in 2021, but it's not as good as some of his best years where he had a walk rate above 8%. And then this year, 97 games for Riley, And it's another step back. He's batting .268, which is better than .256, but the slug's only .437. He's got 15 homers and 52 RBI. Feels like he might be able to catch last year's production. He has 13 less games. He has 4 less homers and 4 less RBI. Yeah, but it's a 110 WRC plus. His walk rate drops again to 6.3%. And for the first time since his debut year, his walk rate climbs above 25-ish% to 20. I'm sorry, his strikeout rate to 27.9%. His ISO slugging drops down to under 200 at 169. So it's another, like, slug of 437, 110 WRC plus. It's another situation where, yes, he's better than the average player, but is he largest contract in team history better? He's not. And I would argue that getting this going, getting Austin Riley going, and getting him going and getting him back to that level, that 2021, 2022, 30 to 40% better than the league, that's something the Braves have to figure out how to do that down the stretch so that next year they can get back to a roster that can contend for the World Series. Because ultimately, we're future focused, right? We are looking at how do we make these guys better from the perspective of this team competing next year. Michael Harris hitting better than his weight is obviously a big deal. But this is, to me, just as important. And I know that obviously you're not going to turn down a 268 average from Austin Riley and a 110 WRC plus. But one of the big differences in that 21, 22, and 23 offense was Austin Riley being one of the best third basemen in baseball. And I would argue this year he's not been that. Like, he needs to be in the all-star conversation. He needs to be in the MVP conversation. All 3 of those years, he was 6th or 7th place in MVP. He had 2 all-star selections. He had 2 silver sluggers at third base. That's the level you need Austin Riley to be if you want this offense to be what it's capable of and be competing for the World Series. In just a minute, let's talk about the rest of that game last night, the struggles Strider had, and the rest of the pitching staff, and ask why Rafael Montero still has a job. We'll do that next, right here on Braves Today. But first, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Encase Cards. Absolutely love what they do. These are custom cards using your photos that you upload, and their designers go in and make trading cards trading card style custom renders. I have them for each of my kids when they were playing youth sports. We went in there and chose holographic options, all of that backgrounds, all of that different stuff. They printed the card on high quality stock. They slabbed it, and then they put it inside this cool bumper case with a built-in stand. It's good for more than just youth sports. That makes the most sense. But outside of that, it's also good for Employee of the Month. Awards for fantasy leagues. That makes a ton of sense. Your winner of your fantasy league gets a custom card. The loser of your fantasy league makes a custom card. We're actually doing this for my fantasy football league that I'm in. We've all been in this league like 10 years now. We're going to take photos at the draft, and we're going to do this for the winner and the loser for next year to go along with the physical trophy that we have. Just tons of uses here for this. They've offered a discount to every listener and viewer of Braves Today. So ncasecards.com, ncasccards.com, promo code Braves Today. I believe you need the hashtag the pound in there. So hashtag Braves Today gets you $5 off your order and supports Braves Today. Again, that's ncasecards.com, ncasccards.com. Welcome back to Braves Today. Lindsay Crosby. I want to talk about last night's game because there was a lot of really cool stuff happened in this game. I think the biggest takeaway, other than Atlanta winning, so 10-7 victory by the Braves over the Royals, was just how many walks the team drew. Atlanta had more walks than hits, which this offense has done before, and it was just not very many hits. The Braves have 9 hits. The Braves draw 14 walks and only strike out 4 times. And what's absolutely wild to me is of those 4 strikeouts, 2 of them were the first 2 at-bats of the game. 45-year-old Rich Hill up there throwing 87, 88 mile-an-hour fastballs. He gets Jurickson Profar with a cutter and 2 curveballs. And then he gets Matt Olson. He dots a sinker up and away for strike 3. Honestly, I wouldn't be inclined to swing at an 87 mile-an-hour sinker that was chest high and out the far end of the zone either. I thought it was off the plate too. It caught the corner, strikeout. From that point on, Atlanta only struck out 2 more times in the entire game, and none of them were to Rich Hill. But you saw the power production. Ronald Acuna Jr. hit a monster home run, 468 feet. There was a great stat that was in there from, I believe it was Sarah Langs of MLB.com. Since the start of Ronald's rookie season in 2018, he leads Major League Baseball with 26 homers of 450 feet or more. And think about all of the time that he's missed. He's missed half of 2 seasons to injury, if not more, because he came back a little bit later in two different seasons, and he still leads baseball in the number of homers over 450 feet. He didn't debut until May 23rd this year. He already has 3 homers this season of 450 feet. He's tied with Eugenio Suarez for the most in baseball. And it's funny because after the game, the media was talking to him, and they asked him kind of like how he did it. That some of his home runs are not cheap shots. They're not wall scrapers. They're no doubters. And this is what Ronald said, quote, "It's good to hit homers, and it's good to hit those long distance homers. The truth is, I'm not sure how I do it." It's the bat speed. He has just unusually fast hands. It is absurd. But outside of that, you did see some other really positive developments. Marcell Ozuna got a home run. He made a start at designated hitter, batting 7th. He goes 1 for 3. He draws 2 walks because, again, everybody except for Austin Riley walked yesterday. The Braves drew 14. Ozzie Albies had 3 of them. I think I figured this out for today's 3 things over on BravesToday.com. I want to say this was the 3rd or 4th time in his career, 4th time maybe, in Ozzie's career that he's drawn 3 walks in a game. And the fun fact is he doesn't have a single hit in any of those games, which is just wild to me. But back to Ozuna, he homers on a curveball in the zone. Wasn't a great pitch, right? It was a curveball just off the center of the plate. And right there, it was almost a middle curveball. First pitch, and he crushed it. But the point is, he got it. He got the pitch. He took advantage of it. He executed it. Like, that's what you need and want him to do. And then, Nick Allen goes 1 for 3, 2 walks. He scores twice. He has 1 of the 4 strikeouts off of the bullpen. But still, just about everybody's doing what they need to do. Ronald goes 2 for 4. The one thing I will say about Ronald in this game, we talked about it a little bit last night on the postcast. Me and Jake Mastriani over on Locked On Sports Atlanta. So, if you're watching these games and when you get done, you want to talk more about the game that just happened, go check those out. Ronald's cousin, Maikel Garcia, was on the other side for Kansas City. And you could tell Ronald was trying to do a little too much, right? He gets picked off of first base. He gets caught stealing at second. He hasn't been stealing a ton recently, so some of that may be a little bit rusty, but I think a lot of it was just he was playing a little more open and free, trying to make things happen against his cousin. I don't think you're going to see a lot of that sloppy play like that on the base paths from Ronald. I think that was just trying to do a little too much. But the other area where I'm really worried we're going to see sloppy play, because it was not good yesterday, was the pitching in general. Spencer Strider didn't have the best outing, okay? 5 innings. And then here's the thing. The results were fine. Like 2 runs in 5 innings, with the caveat of the Royals are 29th in baseball in runs scored. Like it's not a very productive offense, right? Strider gives up 7 hits in his 5+ innings. He faced 2 batters in the 6th, gave up 2 singles. They both got on, and Pierce Johnson shut it down, which Pierce Johnson looked great. He looked phenomenal, and I do think he's going to end up, if they decide to move him this week, he's going to be one of the team's better trade assets. But Strider just really didn't have extra velocity on his fastball. He averaged 94.9. The locations weren't great. He only was in the zone about 50% of the time with the fastball. And the way that Strider's thing works, in case we haven't learned this by now, is Strider throws the fastball in the zone a ton so that you then chase the slider out of the zone. Like, that's what he's trying to do. Yes, he has a curveball. Yes, he has a changeup. He's trying to... He has those in case you're sitting slider. And he can use, especially when he doesn't have the velocity of the fastball, he can use that to give himself something different, to either drop under your bat, being the curveball, or to run off of the barrel with the changeup. Didn't have the fastball last night. He only got 5 whiffs in 48 swings, an 18% CSW, which is called strikes plus whiffs. The MLB average is like 28%. So you're looking for 30%, is kind of your goal there on called strikes plus whiffs. He was at 18%. I don't know if this was an off night for Strider or if this is a workload thing, because he's already over, like, he's already close to 80 innings, and he only made 2 starts last year. The fastball, I feel like, hasn't been that good for a couple starts now. So it's possible that this is a little bit of a cumulative workload. And, his velocity was getting better with every start for a stretch there. It started to back up a little bit. I'm beginning to think this might be it. This might be the best you're going to get this season from Spencer Strider. And then he'll have a normal offseason. He'll do his normal work. And hopefully he looks more like the usual Spencer Strider next year. We'll see what happens. Obviously, they don't need to push him down the stretch. You're already down 5 starters. We did get confirmation last night on Grant Holmes. Mark Bone of MLB.com said that Snit was talking about he has to go through his options with the doctors and everything. And the implication here, that nobody came right out and said it, but the implication here is that Grant Holmes has a torn or a partially torn UCL. And he's going to need some sort of internal brace or Tommy John or something, which sucks, obviously. But the biggest issue last night, I would argue, like, Daysbel Hernandez got in a little bit of trouble. He actually kind of minimized it. We've seen him have those innings. He gave up 2 hits, 1 run scored, but we've seen him have those situations like that where it just snowballed and became awful. He didn't do that, right? He managed it. Dylan Lee gave up a solo shot. But Rafael Montero in the 9th, 2 hits, 2 walks, 3 runs ended up coming in to score, did not record an out. His ERA is now 5.5, and I really don't understand why Rafael Montero is still on this roster. Like, his whiff rates are good, right? Guys swing and miss, but it doesn't translate to strikeouts, which is a problem. And you're kind of at the point of, unless somebody's going to want him at the deadline, which doesn't really feel like it's going to happen, he needs to be gone. You need to DFA him or something and give chances to some of the prospects in the minors who we feel like could be more effective relievers. Hayden Harris, the lefty, is the guy that I'm thinking of. He's pitched really well in the minors. Give him a shot. The joke here is that Rafael Montero was bad just so that Raisel Iglesias would get another save opportunity. Montero entered the 9th inning with a lead of 10-4. So a 6-run lead. And he gave up 3 runs. It became a save situation because the tying run was either on base, at bat, or on deck. Like, it doesn't have to be a 3-run or less lead to get a save. 1, if you pitch the final 3 innings, you get a save. But 2 is if the tying run is on base, at bat, or on deck. So Iglesias comes in, And he shuts it down. I mean, he's perfect. No hits, no runs. He does give up a sac fly, the third inherited run. Like the third run comes in to score off of Iglesias, but it's charged to Montero. Maybe it just helps Iglesias' trade value a little bit more. Sure, let's go with that. That's fine. Hopefully that's what happened. But by the end of the week, Marcell Ozuna, who hit the homer last night, should be gone. Raisel Iglesias needs to be gone. Pierce Johnson should probably be gone too. Again, I wouldn't mind moving Aaron Bummer, given that he's owed $9.5 million. But Rafael Montero, even if you don't find a trade partner for him, he needs to be gone too. And honestly, that's 5 40-man spots. That way you can start trying to use some of these prospects. You can call up relievers. You can call up starters too. In the meantime, starting the series opener on Thursday in Cincinnati is going to be Carlos Carrasco, who the Braves traded for yesterday. Let's talk about what he's done this season, why they would do that. We'll do that next, right here on Braves Today. Final segment of Braves Today, Lindsay Crosby kind of talking about the new acquisition here. Carlos Carrasco joined Eric Fetty, who starts tonight against Kansas City. Carrasco is going to start Thursday, the series opener in Cincinnati against the Reds. And the thing you need to know here is Carrasco's old, 38 years old, was signed by the Yankees this offseason. I believe it was a $1.5 million base salary, so he is under that same base salary with Atlanta. They'll pay him the prorated portion for however long he's on the roster for. The deal was for a player to be named later or cash considerations. The Yankees DFA'd him early this year, and he was outrighted to AAA. He has not officially reported to Atlanta as of time of recording. So he will need to be added to the 40-man roster sometime between now and Thursday. And I believe, given the trade rules, he has to be reported by Wednesday morning. So they might not have to make a transaction for him today. But if they don't, they'll have to make a transaction for him first thing tomorrow morning. They probably make it after the game tonight. And again, Rafael Montero needs to be the move. Any other move other than that, and I'm going to be mad. That needs to be the move. But the thing you need to know here about Carlos Carrasco is he made 6 starts and a pair of relief appearances for the Yankees during the season. He wasn't that good. 5.91 ERA, allowed an opponent batting average of 2.98, including 7 home runs in 32 innings. He had a pair of 4-inning starts with 4 runs allowed to the Tigers and the Rays. Both the Orioles tagged him for 4 runs in 3 1/3. His final appearance was in relief, and that was 3 innings with 2 runs on 5 hits against the Rays again. He did have a couple starts where he picked up wins, 5 innings. One of them was 1 run against the Royals. We talked about they don't have any offense. One of them was 3 runs in 5 1/3 against the Diamondbacks with 5 strikeouts. But when he was sent down to AAA, he was much better. So he was starting down there, and overall in AAA, Carlos Carrasco pitched to a 3.27 ERA in 11 starts for Scranton Wilkes-Barre. But in the final 5 starts, 4 of them he went at least 6 innings. He only allowed 3 runs in 1 of them. Some of the others there, he allowed 2, 2, 1, and no earned runs, 2 unearned runs in the 5 starts. They won 4 of those, so he's 4-1 in those final 5 starts. Across that stretch, 32 1/3 innings, 2.23 ERA, only 3 homers, 21 strikeouts to 3 walks. So the pure stuff from Carlos Carrasco is not what it used to be when he was an above average starter. He's a sinker slider guy. His changeup, he doesn't throw it a ton. It's like 19% usage, but it actually graded out really well in the majors this year. But it's like a 91 mile an hour, like he's leading with a slider, 91 mile an hour sinker, a 91 mile an hour four-seamer. He throws a curveball like 9% of the time, but it's a lot. It's just a kitchen sink kind of thing there. 2 fastballs, 2 breaking balls, an off speed, and he's mixing them all up about 1/4 to 1/5 of the time. So the ceiling is probably not very high with Carlos Carrasco. The floor should be okay, though. And the thought process here, it's very clear. I talked about this the other day. Like, what is Atlanta trying to do? It's very clear this is let's just get through the season, right? Let's just do everything we can to make it to the end of the year, or at the very least, make it to the trade deadline to clear some roster spots up before we try to call up prospects. There's a lot of 40-man guys, or a lot of Rule 5 guys they have to evaluate this winter. It's very clear the Braves' goal here is just use these veterans to get through as many starts as we can. We're not starting the clock on the prospects, at least not now, right? If J.R. Ritchie comes up and pitches really well now, he's going to be up long enough to no longer have rookie eligibility. If you're going to call any prospect up who has no service time, wait until September starts. 1, the roster expands. You can carry an extra reliever to back up that guy if he can't go deep enough. But 2, that way he doesn't get enough service time to be in the Rookie of the Year conversation. Or he doesn't get enough service time where he can be in the Rookie of the Year and the prospect promotion incentive service time next season. So we'll see. Carlos Carrasco is going to start on Thursday. I don't have super high expectations, but I don't think he's going to get shelled for 8 runs, right? It's not an advantageous ballpark for anybody to make their appearance in, but he is a sinker slider guy. You'd like to think he can get ground balls. He was about 40% in his major league time earlier in the year. He's not walking a ton of dudes. We'll see what happens here. Again, this is a low ceiling, decent floor, super cheap option to make it through the year. This has been Braves Today for Tuesday, July 29th. Do me a favor. If you're listening on audio, leave us a 5-star review. Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music, whatever it might be. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. We're not going to do a show tomorrow because the game is right after the show would go live. But we're going to be back on Thursday. We're going to do a live show after the trade deadline to talk about what's going to happen, the deals that Atlanta made, all that good stuff. Until next time, this has been Braves Today.